Hello, and thank you for being here today. I'm very glad to be part of this event, especially as Synbright has been such a central institution for me personally, as well as for the communities of research and practice that I'm a part of, which includes the Department of Typography at Reading and the Printing Historical Society. Incidentally, the very first time I came to London as a student was for a behind-the-scenes peek into St. Bride's collections, along with my fellow students and colleagues at the University of Reading. Now that seems like a lifetime ago, but it's wonderful to see that St. Bride have continued that tradition and lots more through online means. It is a difficult time for heritage organizations, libraries, and cultural institutions everywhere, so it's deeply encouraging to see the work that St. Bride have accomplished in this year. The Printing Historical Society, of course, has had a long connection with St. Bride, and I'm delighted that we continue to strengthen it further through mutual support and collaboration, and especially in communicating the importance of printing heritage to wider audiences. As some of you will know, I am an independent type designer and researcher, and also the editor and publisher of the journal Contextual Alternate. I completed my PhD at the University of Reading, and for the last 3 years I've been a postdoctoral research fellow there. I'm also one half of the type design studio Typeland, and like so many design students and practitioners, I've benefited from St. Bride's invaluable collection of literature on printing and typography, type specimens, and archival material that has not only informed our design process throughout, but that's also been a constant source of visual and intellectual delight. I'm happy to note that a lot of this material is gradually being made more accessible to even more people through St. Bride's digitization initiatives. Of course, for me, above all, St. Bride Library has been a place for discovery, and for my own work, it continues to be a constant source of inspiration. As a researcher, I'm interested in combining insights from direct engagement with material and hands-on practice-based understanding, something that St. Bride has championed for a long time. Now, today there is a much wider community of researchers globally identifying print and its history as an intrinsic part of their work. I think we are in an exciting period of scholarly growth, design engagement, and public interest in the field. The vibrant research community that has developed around St. Bride has also been invaluable and has led to some of my own projects that I will briefly talk about today. I'm currently working on the history of mechanical typesetting for Indian scripts, which involves researching the design and technology behind large-scale industrial machines, as well as typewriters, verotypers, and other small-scale technologies of production, mostly in the 20th century. But there is much work that needs to be done in unearthing, documenting, and preserving typographic history in South Asia. New research on type founders, printers, lithographers, inventors, and entrepreneurs across the subcontinent, addressing numerous languages and scripts, are necessary to add nuance and granularity to the broad narratives that we have so far. So with this in mind, I started an independent venture, Contextual Alternate, as an initiative to archive, generate, and publish critical scholarship focusing on Asian contexts. We will be publishing the first volume of our journal this March, and other work so far has revolved around organizing conferences, exhibitions, and events that bring the materiality of print across Asia into greater focus. Most of us realize today that the history of design and printing needs to include the less visible histories of craft and labor, technology and innovation, collective work and collaborations, as well as the histories of exclusion and exploitation, successes as well as failures. There are numerous interesting questions to be explored in the overlooked day-to-day realities and experiences of print in diverse contexts, and a direct engagement with source material can make a significant contribution in this direction. Of course, we are not always fortunate to have access to original documents and source material, but that can also provide an occasion to rethink what we could do with the archive, how we could make, remake, or deconstruct that idea. So last year, I initiated a project called Drafts of History to engage with one of the most ephemeral and unreliable of historic documents, the newspaper. In this time, where not only the viability of the newspaper as a tangible document is under question, but when the free press as an institution in itself is under sustained attack, the project's aim was to elicit a glimpse of the global history of this printed document by juxtaposing two moments, 130 odd years apart. Calling on a host of enthusiasts and collaborators, we created a publicly sourced archive of a single day in 2020 to complement an existing archive of a single day in 1888. Coincidentally, 10th March 2020, the day, turned out to be the last day before the World Health Organization declared a global pandemic that continues to reshape our world in critical ways. As the restrictions and lockdowns came into effect worldwide, the Drafts of History project has now created a material archive of that particular moment, articulated through more than 1,000 newspapers from around the world. The project created a snapshot of the world in newspapers and at the same time a record of the newspaper as a printed artifact in our tumultuous world. In March this year, we are looking to open up a digital exhibit of all the newspapers that have arrived here after long, eventful journeys, while we wait for yet others to find their way to us eventually. My latest project is the creation of a collaborative pictorial database to document the visual and material traces of design, technology, labor, and print practice in South Asia. Some of the other projects that I've initiated look at everyday engagements with machines for writing, printing, and duplicating in multilingual contexts, and I'd like to take this opportunity to invite participation in all of these projects in the spirit of collaboration from everyone. While researchers know how to mine an archive of documents and therefore value it, they are rarely trained to recognize or use the knowledge embodied in material artifacts, technical processes, or components of production. In other words, to utilize and read artifacts as sources. This is where institutions such as St. Bride, that preserve and value print heritage, contribute the most and are deeply significant, not only to fields of research, but to broader popular understanding and public engagement. I believe the next few years will, on the one hand, bring a renewed focus on local practices, and on the other hand, develop new frameworks to connect local practices to wider historical networks and processes. And for this, St. Bride will no doubt continue to be an invaluable and inspiring resource. Thank you.